If you're familiar with statistics or math that's any level above the 5th grade, you'll know what the mean of a value set is referring to. If you aren't familiar, the mean refers to the average of a value set or collection of data or things. I started with this little statistics lesson because average is how I can best describe Captain Marvel. Hey, welcome. This is the second episode of The Revisit, where I rewatch the MCU films in timeline order and discuss them. As you've seen by the title and thumbnail, we will be revisiting Captain Marvel today, the next film on the timeline. Captain Marvel is an interesting film, not in the sense that the story is super fascinating or complex. Don't get me wrong, it's both of those things, just not to the highest degree. The film is interesting because of how it does most things well. Not great, but well. There's some good present in the film, but it's nothing that makes it out as being up there with the best that the MCU has to offer. The story follows Captain Marvel, who we know as Veers at the beginning of the film. She has difficulty sleeping because she has this strange dream of a crash every night with a woman in what seems to be a spaceship, but she doesn't know if it's a dream or a memory. You see, Veers' memory only goes back 6 years to when she arrived on the planet Hala, where she now lives with the Kree and serves in the Star Force, fighting a war against the Skrull race that she believes destroyed her home planet. She is quick-witted and impulsive. This impulsiveness often ends in her getting cut from mission squads and having to prove herself to the High Intelligence, which is the AI governing body of the planet Hala. Once she proves herself, she is then allowed back on missions with her mentor and his squad. It's on one of these missions to retrieve a Kree spy operative that Veers would get kidnapped by the Skrulls, and they would go looking through her memories trying to find some sort of information. She wakes up and breaks free from the Skrull ship. She then crash lands on planet C-53, or better known to us as planet Earth.
A cell of Skrulls anywhere is a threat to Kree everywhere.
While on Earth, she finds out what it is that the Skrulls are after, but she also has questions about the memories the Skrulls found in her head that she wasn't aware she had. And one prominent memory was that of Dr. Lawson, a Kree operative undercover on Earth who was working on developing a light-speed engine that would allow the Kree to travel to different galaxies, and in doing so remove the threat of the Skrulls, subsequently winning the war. Veers is tracked down by a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent who goes by the name of Nick Fury. She persuades him on the imminent threat and asks him to help her get information about Dr. Lawson, to which he agrees. So they go to a black site where they find out Dr. Lawson is dead, but they also find out that Veers once had a life on planet Earth. They get compromised, courtesy of Nick Fury, and have to hijack a S.H.I.E.L.D. ship to escape. But they find out who the last person to see Veers and Dr. Lawson alive was. When they find said person, who's named Maria Rambeau, Veers confirms that she indeed did have a life on planet Earth, and her name is Carol Danvers, and Maria was her best friend. She also finds out that all records say she died in that crash with Dr. Lawson. That's when the Skrulls find Veers, but this time, their leader Talos came in peace, only wishing to share a voice recording from said crash with Dr. Lawson and Carol that happened 6 years ago. This is where everything changes. Carol was broken after the news. Everything she'd been told about her past for the last 6 years was a lie. She was on the wrong side of a one-sided and unjust war where the Kree committed genocide on the Skrulls and destroyed their home planet. She learns that Dr. Lawson wasn't just a Kree operative on Earth. She was hiding from the Kree, and doing so wanted to develop a light-speed engine to help the Skrulls escape the Kree and find a home in a new galaxy. As redemption for what she'd helped the Kree do to the Skrulls, Carol agreed to help them discover the location of Dr. Lawson's lab, but she would have to face the people who've lied to her about who she was for the last 6 years. Okay, so the story itself is interesting, but I will say that there are points when the acting could have really elevated the film. For example, when Carol finds out about the crash with Dr. Lawson and that the light-speed engine is what gave her powers, she kind of just walks out of the room and then is fine after a motivational speech from Maria. I feel like this would have been a really good opportunity to show us how out of control she is when it comes to her powers, really show us her impulsiveness. Since we've already brought up Maria, let's talk about her next. Like 80% of her dialogue is just speeches about how much of a boss Carol was. Apart from that, there isn't much else to say about her. Lashana Lynch made good with what she had. Brie Larson played Carol, who was a character I feel like had a lot of potential, but the film only scratched the surface of that potential. At one point we see in a flashback that she had a brother who seemed to care about her, but we have no idea what happened to him or the rest of her family. In fact, all we get is a fleeting line of dialogue from Maria's daughter that goes, "Mom said you never got along with your parents, so we're your real family." And I'm like, okay. Regardless, I think anyone that's just found out that they had a family on a different planet after 6 years of being lied to would want to find them.
If I played the same pinball machine for 6 years, I'd have some high scores too.
Nick Fury was very entertaining to watch, courtesy of a de-aged Samuel L. Jackson. He was very natural and seemed to click off with whoever he was on screen with, especially Carol. They had good chemistry. How much of that was Nick Fury, I will leave for you to decide.
Species, human male. Threat, low to none.
That thing's clearly busted.
Talos, the Skrull leader, was good. The acting, the delivery, Ben Mendelsohn was really in the zone with him. The rest of the cast did good, and that's expected as a good chunk of them are stays at Marvel Studios, so they understand what they need to do. Also, they have that one girl that I swear is in every movie and show, and she's always playing a kid or the kid version of the main character. I genuinely don't know how they keep de-aging her, cause it's definitely more than special effects at this point. Speaking of special effects, the CGI is good in this film. Not elite though, they have good CGI in most scenes, but then we'll have something like this that completely breaks the immersiveness. The camera work in some of the scenes is nothing short of exceptional, especially the sequence when the Skrulls were looking through Carol's memory. If I had to pick a theme for Captain Marvel, it would be self-discovery. Having been subjected to lies and manipulation, Carol was never really in control of herself. And that is a part of the reason why she is impulsive and has no control over her powers in the beginning, because she doesn't fully understand what it is she is supposed to be in control of. Also, there's just some bad punchlines and one-liners in this movie.
You guys wouldn't happen to know how these things come off, would you? No? Fine.
Thanks for watching.
Wait, oh yes, wait a minute, Mr. Postman. Wait, Mr. Postman.